Hello, free enterprise fans, and welcome to the first of our semifinals matches between Dia and xPankraz. I'm joined here today by Gambit. Gambit, how you doing?
I am excited for this matchup. This is the semifinals. This is where we get to the four quote unquote best players for the league, and boy, do we have a good one today between the number 6 seed Dia and the number 15 seed xPankraz.
Yeah, absolutely, and don't let these seeds fool you anymore. They basically don't matter at this point. Dia and Pankraz both had incredible runs through the brackets, through Swiss into brackets. Dia only losing to Dusty Griff and Penguinator, and Pankraz, actually no, sorry, Dia not losing at all, only losing games to Dusty Griff and Penguinator, and Pankraz similarly going 4-2 in the Swiss rounds, but then shortly afterwards just making it all the way through here, almost no problems. I think these two are going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. This is actually a rematch of sorts. Back about a month or so ago, we had a nice little showcase on GDQ Hotfix, and Dia and Pankraz showed off the bracket flags for that. It was right before the brackets began. Run it off. Pankraz won that match, so Dia might be looking for a little bit of revenge here in the first actual real tournament match between the two of them. So could be a little bit of revenge factor there, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Chad also pointing out they faced off in the first week of Swiss. That is one of the two losses that Pankraz found himself in during Swiss rounds, was those two facing off right away. Jokingly saying it was like the finals in week one, and well, we're at the semifinals, so not that far off. Unfortunately, though, only one of these two can go on to the finals, so this is as close to the finals as they could be. But
I mean,
yeah,
we could end up with like 5 straight ties over the next couple of days, and then we can send them both on. But at that point, I'm pretty sure the admins would come find me and tell me no and send me newspapers directly.
oh my god, I was ready to make a ties joke, but I just see all the no's coming out in chat. And it looks like we're off to the races here.
We had a Rosa start. Let's see who she gets paired with today. That is everyone's favorite old man, Tella. So we have, and hey, look, there's a demist. And Solaria, how do you feel about going underground immediately?
I feel great. Also, a few things to point out. First of all, 69,000 gold. Second of all, heroin robe. Third of all, I was so ready to talk about Watery Pass versus Castle Eblan. Forget it. They're just going underground.
Oh yeah,
We've got a magic start.
This start screams to me: go underground, check Baron or Dwarf Castle, check the Feymarch, set up Sheila 1 immediately before you even start thinking about coming back above ground. Also, we didn't really talk about the objectives too much. We do have 2 boss hunts. We're looking for elements. We're looking for plague as our 2 additions to our standard Forge, Magnus, and Pinktail.
Yeah, without a character hunt in play, that could slightly disincentivize Zot and Dwarf Castle. I mean, we'll see what happens here. Those two both still hold 2 bosses, so they're still good for those sorts of hunts. But yeah, Pankraz and Dia immediately going to throw that key down the well. Now, what I'll be paying attention to here, be very interesting for me, is that we're finally at the stage where just playing your best game might not be good enough. Our players may still lean that way, but I'll be interested to see if Dia or Pankraz sort of makes a slight change in their typical strategies here.
Yeah, both runners are very technical runners. Pankraz is a wizard at menuing. I've been showing off lately in some clips that he's made about some actual huge menu stuff he's been able to do. Dia is just a straight up master of this game. She can make decisions on the fly. She can just a mastery with boss fights. So it'll be interesting to see if either of them just stick to their game and go about their normal business here, or if one of them says, look, you know, I know the other one is good at this, I'm going to try to compensate by doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Dia known for making risks a little bit more, I would say, than Pankraz, and Pankraz known for just sheer efficiency. But yep, both players heading immediately into Dwarf Castle. We're going to check for items. We may do a little bit of looting here. There are a few pots to check along the way, and a weapon shop to check if you are interested perhaps for a bow. Oh, there's a cursed ring found by FF4FE. Dia also going to find them, and a Gaia hat.
And that curse string is huge right off the bat. Now you don't have to worry whatsoever about your anchoring. You can let that Tella get as many levels as you want to, because guess what? You've got a curse string. You can make him your anchor anytime you want.
Yep, and FF4FE going into the right tower, finding a karate, saying good enough, and exiting out.
In the meantime, Dia walking out without doing that tower, but both of them end up in the airship at the same time and going to the same place. We sure these streams aren't just mirrored?
I mean, they sure seem in sync to me. Now, here's a good question. Are we going to get a job dwarf check? Sirens found. Good to know immediately.
We might, because FF4FE looks like he might be heading that way. He's a tour guide today. FF4FE has won the seed for job dwarf checking. GG's, everybody. We're going to find a race target. We'll see you later.
I would love a guided tour of the underground. You know, see the sites.
Samurai arrows for selling the weapon shop there. That's actually a decent pickup for FF4FE there. Get Rosa a bow if she doesn't already have one. That's some good early game damage, especially with that heroin robe.
Yep, both player checking those shops. I don't know if Dia picked those up also. I imagine that she did. Both are going to save here and do a little bit of looting on their way down. The treasures here on T Pro, the loot quality, excuse me, can be quite good. And the monster chest early means that they get to loot the rest of this Feymarch with impunity. I don't think those two first items, maybe one of them was a unicorn. Dia picking that back up. But yeah, they get to just loot the rest of this. Hope to spike something good, a samurai bow. Really any kind of weaponry is good at this point. We don't know what the rest of our team party is good. Our team compositions could be like at the moment. Charmrod is nice.
Yeah, Charmrod can give Tella some early game kind of boost on his spells, at least until you get a little better. There's a Grimoire. That's going to be pretty helpful to toss in an early game boss as well.
Yeah, Tella with like plus 10, plus 15 wisdom actually can do respectable damage with Virus after you've gone to Mount Ordeals.
FF4FE is going to give us our first check of the Feymarch freebie, and it is a Twin Harp. That is a required item.
Objective 2 known up front. We won't be doing that right away, but something that will be on mind to do rather shortly after some overworld checks, maybe get a couple party members. Honestly, just Rosa with that heroin robe, samurai arrows, and any bow, even a great bow. Probably enough to take on that Twin Harp boss.
FF4FE finding iron rings in the armor shop down here. Decides to go back and pick up 5. Not a bad play, considering, again, see Nakey, you don't necessarily have a good any armor, really. But those iron rings will help make, when you go to that Twin Harp, everybody is magnetized. You can skip a lot of that cutscene right off the bat.
Gambit, how do you feel about Rosa Gobert?
I like Rosa Gobert. That's a sparkle in the CPU. What is the sparkle? If sparkle is plague, then free.
Free
nope,
and
that's
required,
not free.
if so. Nope, just a pale dim.
That is ouch.
Sparkle. that pretty much any sparkle at the Leviathan spot that is not plague is ouch. But both our players are going to pick up, I bet, yep, both players have picked up a samurai bow. There's also mute arrows available from that same Feymarch weapon shop. Rosa has a samurai bow, heroin robe, and samurai arrows or mute arrows. I think we're fully ready to clear that entire overworld.
Yeah, one thing that's probably going to be looming in the back of their minds. We did find sirens, by the way, at the Tomra shop, I believe. I don't remember how many each runner picked up. But that CPU fight, that's a very doable fight there at Ashura. It's long, don't get me wrong, but it's doable. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see if they go, like, say, Haas, Baronin, pick up a couple more characters, and then come and take that CPU fight almost directly thereafter, saying, okay, this might be a little long, but this is basically like a siren, plus it gives me a key item, and it's relatively free.
Yeah, I don't think either of them picked up that many sirens because they are expensive, and you're not, we did start with a lot of money, but you still want the money to pick up hourglasses and coffins if they show up. But the thing about that CPU for me is that the Pale Dim is not very doable while the CPU is, but it's slow, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't come back to the Feymarch for a long time, unless we start running out of things to do for progression.
That's a good point. Here we see a little bit of Divergence. Dia going straight to Fabul is going to take advantage of the free heal Fabul gives. Whereas FF4FE looks like he's landing by Antlion Cave. Might be going down there first.
Yeah, I think both plays are just fine. Tala has enough MP to kind of heal up the party, so that's not really a concern. Now, this is interesting. I love this. Why do you suppose, Gambit, that Rosa has gone on top and Tala on bottom on FF4FE's side?
Well, right now he wants to use that Rosa as his anchor. Heroine Robe Rosa, very, very speedy, and a fast anchor on the overworld is the better anchor. But wants to be able to take advantage of the aim command, because the aim command grants perfect accuracy. Well, the center slot gives an accuracy bonus, which will overflow the aim command if you're not careful. By moving Rosa to the stop slot, having no one in that center slot, oh, by the way, that's a poor Grimoire roll, you get to keep Rosa's ability to be your anchor, because it decides to say, hey, you know, if there's no one in the middle slot, then the next slot, which is the top one, is your anchor. And then, in addition to that, you can use the aim command because there's no additional boost, so therefore you get the accuracy. In the meantime, both runners take care of their respective bosses, which is Mylon and Friends and Antlion, and Kaipo Guards and Fabul.
We had many friends on screen at that moment, and both making use of their J items. FF4FE only finding a Soma drop saying, nah, I don't want that. Resets out, saves the time, and probably is heading over to Fabul himself, given the 2 checks. Wants to pick up the character first at Hobbs. And yeah, exactly. And importantly, in the middle of that accuracy, sometimes aim will work from the middle, but it's only 60% accuracy when it's underflowed like that. So the way that they've set it up is definitely ideal.
So Dia getting the hook from Sheila 1. FF4FE finding Ogopogo and another Rosa up on Antlion, or not Antlion, Hobbs. Unfortunately, no dupes is on, so no additional character. Looks like FF4FE is going to take this fight, though, does want the XP here. Also, the Fabul check itself was a crystal shield, which was absolutely...
Yeah, interesting to take on this Ogopogo fight. It is a bit of a time loss, but the experience is important. I don't know how important it is given the availability of Sirens, and Rosa is not going to learn Berserk by the time she goes to Ordeals, just with typical routing, but it is very quick after the waves are done, so FF4FE through it, no problem. Dia about to see the Sparkle herself. We'll see if she wants to take this fight on. Yeah, no, she reset right out of it. That's what I would have expected, but really the time difference is going to be pretty negligible.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that little bit of extra XP on Rosa comes into play on FF4FE's side at all throughout the course of this seed. In the meantime, Dia is going to go raise her hovercraft. I got a feeling we might be having an Eblan check here pretty soon.
Yeah, Eblan is very enticing for 2 important reasons. One, we have 2 guaranteed tier 5 items, and I want to say we've only seen Sirens. Now, the other 2 shops I kind of don't remember, so the chat might be able to correct me there, but there are 2 guaranteed tier 5 items in the item shop. There's also a character, which could be a Fusoya or an Edge, on top of any other character that could be useful for this party at the moment. So I imagine at some point, looks like Dia wasn't interested in it immediately, but at some point our runners will check both of those things.
You say it could be a character that's helpful for this party. It could also be like a Rydia or an Edward.
You know, even an anchor is useful.
We have a curse streak. Tell it can be our anchor. We don't need another anchor. We're fine.
All anchors, no problem.
Oh, this is a
Teammaker.
little interesting on Dia's side. Has taken care of Mylon without taking care of their friends first. And that fire was not enough. This could be bad.
Those guys get very punchy when their boss is gone. They don't have a lot of health, though. Yeah, the Thor Rage takes care of them. Dia with a run buffer may have saved her her butt there, though.
Now she gets rewarded with that Soma drop. That's good to give Kane 10 MP at some point during the seed if we find them.
And this is the check Dia chose to keep instead of FF4FE. So they sort of switched which encounters they didn't want to keep. Pretty much keeping them, I think, neck and neck. Now that Soma Drop is very useful on Tala after you've done Ordeals. That turns what we call swag rocks online, which, given certain spots like that CPU, for instance, it's not just swag, it's an optimal strategy.
In the meantime, Dia giving us a check on the waterfall. It is the Baron guards. They were hot after sitting in the Baron Inn all day. They decided to go take a shower. Dia saying, you guys can stay there. It's fine. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to go to Eblan.
It has been 80 degrees all week here. I could absolutely use like a nice, refreshing, waterfall trip myself.
Right, note of truth for our item shop down here in Eblan. We have Bacchus and Hourglasses. Those are two very nice things to see.
Yep, both incredibly useful. Bacchus, of course, allowing you to berserk yourself on use, and the Hourglass is casting AoE Stop, a very long-lasting AoE Stop. Very, very important for certain bosses that don't have the boss bit. And the Bacchus wines are just really handy in general.
Yeah, you're talking about how Rosa's not going to really learn Berserk before we get to... Hey, look, it's everyone's favorite bard. Before we get underground or up Ordeals, those Bacchuses will make it where Rosa can Berserk herself, and that's a very, very helpful thing right now, considering her layout.
No love for Edward, and also that Valvalis, gross.
Yes,
Good thing
very,
we know
very
that we're not
happy.
going to run into her.
Yeah, very happy we're not having to run that hook route today, because
Someone in chat calling it out Bard Baricia. Of course, referencing her actual Barbaricia. I actually have no idea how to pronounce that. That is her from Dante's Inferno, which is the reference. That's her name. The Valvalis is the SNES translation.
Small thing on Pankraz's side, as soon as he saw the bard, instead of trying to make the left to go towards that like he normally would, he made a right and walked into the wall. Anyway, we have yet another Lunar Sparkle up here on Ordeals. Is this our plague? No.
No, just some undead dragons. Now, at the right location, I would be talking about frog strats here, where their breath spell can be reflected, and of all the status effects that it can reflect back onto itself, frog is one of them. But Rosa being this strong, not really a consideration. Just Zerk can go.
Yeah, this is normally a spot you don't want to do a physical attack against, but as you saw, Rosa just too strong. 2 attacks from Rosa on each one is enough to take care of it. Dia going back, taking the safety save. Don't blame her. Doesn't want to have to redo that fight again just in case. And hey, we've got a back attack wall.
Yeah, too strong and notably also too fast. The heroine robe offering, I believe it's plus 15 agility. And Rosa is the agility anchor, being the top slot there with no one in the middle. So I don't think those D-Lunars even took a turn.
They took a counter. Does that count?
Sure.
In the meantime, basically rinse and repeat here for Dia. Bacchus is up that Rosa. She's taking a single damage in the back row from that evil wall. Just kind of sitting with Tella saying, yeah, just in case something stupid happens, but nothing doing. Evil wall goes down. Dia is through. Gonna be the first one through into the Crystal Chamber here on Ordeals. Pankraz right on her tail.
Yeah, this is what a heroine robe does to the early game. You know, so many times that starting random kit has just like a whole set of iron gear in it. It can hold a lot of junk, but once in a while it can hold a rather valuable tier 5 item, and that heroine robe just proving how powerful it is with the right wielder.
Yeah, Heroine Robe, Samurai Bow, Rosa can do a lot of work early, especially in this flag set. That's a fight you don't want to see up here. That's a free King Queen Eblan with a tower key.
Tower key is good to know. We already have access underground. King Queen Eblan, yeah, it's sad to see here, but can't always be kind to you.
They don't even get a chance to tell us about their favorite new game, Hades, and about how we should go down to it.
I knew you were going for a Hades thing, but for some reason the game just didn't come to mind. Thank you for that. I did just watch a wonderful speedrun of it from Moonblaze Wolf during the Fastest Furs marathon. He ran the 3-weapon category in that game. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so many of our fellow free enterprisers have been drugged down to the Hades by the King Queen Eblan, and I think I still make the same joke in their chats anytime I see them playing it. So. But both runners through Ordeals. It'll be interesting where we go next, if we're going to make that Baron in check, or if we decide to go underground and start doing some of those. As at this point, Baron is really the only thing left in the overworld we have not checked.
Baron in and the Twin Harp. I imagine that's the next two things that both the runners are going to do. It keeps you in the overworld. You want the character from Baron in. It's still a key item anyways, and on this flag set, you really value kind of just doing all the key item checks. Now that's a single blue rope, so that is Water Hag, correct?
Yes, that is going to be the Water Hag. And that was a quorum, if I'm not mistaken, in the inn. So you wanted a white mage?
Honestly, it's not bad. Quorum will actually get to be the white mage, and Rosa will get to be the warrior princess of this seed. We were talking about the early game with the heroine robe, but with the samurai bow and samurai arrows, honestly, that Rosa will be strong for a long time to come. But anyways, so I was going to say, you want the key item checks, and then you just want to beeline for your objectives, and this team is absolutely powerful enough to get through the Twin Harp check.
Oh, there's Sparkle number 4. It's Blarg!
So, this might be a panic moment for both of our runners. And the Mega Nuke gets off actually faster than I expected. This spot is notoriously very slow. It is variable what the agility is, but this Wyvern is like RA5 if not worse, I imagine. But we'll go down in just a few hits.
Yeah, that one reflected Mega Nuke plus Zerka Rosigo Burr. This Wyvern's not going to be very long for this world.
Yeah, Pankraz not even bothering to knowing exactly what the agility here is like. Queues up an attack and then casts a wall onto Rosa, and Wyvern didn't even get to. Now finally gets to Mega Nuke. And there's a Legend Sword. Half an objective already.
Yeah, that goes to show, again, Pankraz, just a master of some of these inputs and menuing. Got 3 actions off before Wyvern got the Mega Nuke off, whereas you saw on Dia's side, Dia only got that 1 action. So the run buffer plus the fast menuing really showing its stuff there for Pankraz.
Yeah, it could. There's a small chance that it could be the variable agility in play there, but regardless, both our runners get through. And really, we're just at fully mirrored movements at this moment, but the routing is sort of playing itself at the moment. Okay, so Dia choosing to go underground here. Looks like she's gonna wants to do an egg first.
Yeah, not a bad idea here.
Goes.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Going to go ahead and get Porum up to Tier 2, Zerk, some of those earlier levels. Also going to take advantage of the weak and the fatal spells, well, the weak spell in this case, on that egg. FF4FE is saying, hey, let's do our objective. We're going Twin Harbor.
Yeah, FF4FE making the play I expected. Dia may do this after doing this egg, or this might be either a Dwarf Castle or a tower play.
I'm kind of rooting for a tower play here. We have the tower key in hand. This party, even just with the one egg, is powerful enough to probably take both sets of tower.
It would force Divergence if Dia is interested in that, but no, going above ground, likely beelining for that Twin Heart play.
Yeah, going to take advantage of the free heal too.
Yeah, so really at this point, for both of our runners, and they know this, being in it, this is an execution race at the moment. This is do your things as fast as possible. The routing is essentially playing itself. Yeah, they might have, chosen to go to Fabul instead of Antlion first, but I mean, that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They've done the same things, they are doing the same things, and it's really about who can do it faster at this point to gain a tiny advantage. Up until the point where the seed shows a true moment of divergence, which is likely going to be if the Darkness Crystal shows up soon.
So one interesting thing to note, Porum in her equipment came with Medusa arrows. Those could come in handy later on if we end up with, say, a Dark Imps in a really interesting spot, as we could usually use those Medusa arrows to possibly cause a stone proc.
Yeah, it would be pretty easy to use a Hourglass on those Dark Imps immediately, and then that makes it a lot easier to affect them with the Medusa arrows. Now, there's weird agility shenanigans where if everyone is acting at RA1, status effects don't really like to proc, but depending on the situation, the Medusa arrows are very useful. And but anyways, we're already at music, so we're gonna let you all enjoy those tunes. All right, I have to interrupt this and talk. A problem could show up here.
A problem did show up here.
So we have the doll. Now, this might be what FF4FE expected. We're definitely powerful enough to just deal the 4,000 damage here. And okay, the doll goes down immediately. The one concern there was that if the spot was not slow enough and Glance hit Rosa, that would have been trouble. But yeah, Heroine Robe is, Heroine Robe is Heroine Robe. It let FF4FE do that with really no problems. Also, are you as stressed out as I am by this music? I think it is incredibly appropriate.
Yeah, Dia is saying, I have an Hourglass, so cows are vulnerable to the Hourglass. I'm just going to toss this, that way we don't have to worry about the big doll. gets to it as well. On the bad side, Pankraz's Porum did not get any XP, but he's going to go rectify that now, probably with a Siren or two. Only a black shirt though as a reward. Tele can use it, but that's about it.
Yeah, but it is an objective down, our first objective for both runners, and chat pointing out that really the samurai bow and arrows alone are enough, and that is very, very true. You don't actually need the heroine robe to be powerful at that point, but what the heroine robe allows is ridiculous agility shenanigans, like Calbrena never even having a chance to glance your party. So definitely good.
There's one thing I want to point out, something that Pankraz did on that fight. Notice that he used Tela to berserk Rosa, and during the berserk animation, unequipped the arrows. So you had Rosa punching, but she was punching with the force of samurai arrows, which is a very, very nice tactic. So it basically says, hey, I'm saving my arrows. I'm not actually using them up in these fights. But at the same point, I'm still getting that power damage. A little bit of a mimic glitch there with the berserking.
Yeah, I'm really glad you pointed that out, actually. It's two things that it saves there. One is the animation time of just the arrows, because it's just, I think, the 2 punches. And the other is that when berserked, you do not use up your last arrow, but sometimes for reasons I personally don't fully understand. I know it doesn't happen, like if you zerk yourself, it's never going to happen, you'll never lose that arrow, but if somebody else zerks, like Tela zerking Rosa with the 1 arrow in hand, could have actually lost that last arrow. So really knowing both those situations would be in its favor. Really just showing, I think, the mastery that Pankraz has earned in this game. Both runners incredible. Pankraz really proving himself, I think for the first time this tournament series, like just kind of what we've all been seeing outside of the tournament season.
Yep, and both runners going the same place, following each other's footsteps. We have a Dwarf Castle check. Well, we have Dr. Cutscene in the front spot. We're going to get to talk about Punch Them over there and Ball Now going Gur.
Well, while Dr. Dialogue does go on, I do want to take a moment to make sure I shout out our restream team. We've got Bari making sure that the stream is all nice and good, and we've got Scythe Marshall doing our tracking, hitting the buttons, and making everything run smooth there as well. And of course, I'm joined by Gambit as my co-commentator. Follow all these people, they're amazing.
Also follow my co-commentator Solaris, he is amazing as well as both our runners, Dia and Pankraz, putting on this wonderful, wonderful first semifinal match for us tonight.
Yeah, the runners, we have our league, our ladder, and both of these runners, Pankraz in particular lately anyway, do play a lot of ladder races. So if you follow the runners, you can kind of get an idea of when they're in a ladder race and watch them if you'd like. And while I'm talking about that, go ahead.
Spoiler from behind the scenes, Pankraz may or may not have been doing the press speed to jump ladder match literally right before this match started, so.
Yeah, push B to jump, a fun time. And while I've brought that up, we do have a ladder. The ladder is a system where you get to play anonymously 1v1 against an opponent who, after a few matches, there's like an ELO ranking system so that you will tend to get paired up with somebody at your skill level. It won't always happen, but that is the intent of the system. It works pretty well. Matches occur every like 4 to 6 hours. The schedule's sort of rotating. Definitely check that out if you're interested. There are 5 different flag sets, I believe. We'll have 6 in the second season that offer a variety of different experiences and difficulties. A lot of fun. Giant Percent is coming soon. Really interested in that.
So I just want to point out the karate coming down to face us in the second spot at Dwarf Castle, and to save us in came Karate Man himself, Yang. The only way this could be more poetic is if this gives the pan.
I think this is the part where something about the real Yang, please stand up. Actually, no, we're not going to go with that joke.
Too late, it's out there, can't take it back. Also, Dia, unfortunately, taking a wipe to that second phase of Dr. Luge. Ended up with both Tella and Porum going down, and Rosa was asleep, and the unfortunate beam was just a little bit too much and unable to recover. So having to take it on once again, FF4FE is going to take a decently sizable lead right here.
That's a tough wipe. I started talking about ladder during this fight because it is normally not very difficult or really interesting to talk about. The one problem that could go wrong is when the second phase, if he sleeps the wrong character, it could go off the rails very quickly. It looks like that's what happened to Dia. Very unfortunate.
Not a pain, just a package. No real help other than just another key item on the way to 10. Why is 10 key items so important here, Solaris?
10 key items is very useful because of the 10 key item experience bonus. You get literally double the experience. So with the 10 key items, it cuts your grind in half, or it lets you not take a grind at all and do moon bosses. The package is also... It's interesting. It's interesting. They may check it for a Fusoya.
Now, we only have 4 characters right now, and to be completely honest, this is not that solid of a team. I mean, Rosa can do Rosa things right now with a Heroine Robe Samurai Bow, but other than that, this is not a party you have much confidence in.
This team is... It may look a little sparse at first, but I think Yang showed up at just the right time to get experience to become useful, and the benefit of Yang is not needing anything to actually be a reasonable fighter in the late game. But in the meanwhile, not checking that package, FF4FE going up the tower here, but I want to go back to just talking about the team at the moment. This team composition, if we find a 5th melee fighter like a Kayn or a Cecil, gosh, even a Sid, it wouldn't be great, but this team really doesn't need a whole lot to be good enough to clear the game with. It might not be the fastest team to clear the game with, but it's serviceable. But this Luke not being kind to Dia at all.
No, but Dia did manage to get a wall of some sort up on that Rosa, and does have a Berserk, so you know, once the heals come out, that'll clear up the gas, and right now the beams and the lasers will be reflected back. Well, the beam will, the laser does not get reflected. So not in any danger, should be able to push through this fight. It is going to be a little bit rough because it's only going to leave Rosa alive for the second fight afterwards, but with the addition of the Yang coming in, should be able to get through it.
Yeah, but that stings really hard for Dia. This is very likely going to be in the back of her mind because it was such a time loss. First of all, for wiping the first time, and second of all, for falling asleep. Pretty much, it looked like every time Luge had that sleep reaction, which is just time lost, essentially. It may influence what she does later, knowing that she took that wipe.
Yang taking offense to Yang joining the party and just immediately pops him.
I too would be freaked out by my doppelganger and knock them down at the nearest opportune moment.
Rosa says, give me some Zerk. I'll take care of this by myself. She's through, Dia's through. We'll be picking up her package and have to see where she goes next. In the meantime, FF4FE has found a very, very doable fight at the top of the tower in Leviathan. Leviathan's going to use Wave, which is going to take a quarter of your health every time. Then it's going to cast a couple Ice 2s. In this spot, those Ice 2s will tickle.
Yeah, this fight is entirely free.
Yeah, this is just Zerk Rosa, Porum and Tella can heal and have fun.
Yeah, the wave is hit point percent based, it's 25% hit points, and the magic attack at this spot is so pathetically low, those Ice 2s are not a threat. Tella stealing Porum's MP, likely just looking to be able to cast some viruses, just speed up the fight a little bit. But also shows the aggression here. Oh, Lit 3, that makes a lot of sense. Leviathan is weak to Lit. Showing the aggression here of, like, it looked like not even taking a heal before coming up the tower.
I mean, I know Pancras saw who it was first before actually entering the fight, and probably said, "You know what? I don't need that heal. I'm fine. This is fine. We've got this." To answer a question in chat, what you missed? Well, you missed starting Rosa and Tella, Magma Key at the start. We know our D-Dot misses at Bigan. Hook was from Sheila 1. Tower Key was from Ordeals. Legend Sword from Baron Inn. Package from Dwarf Castle. And Twin Harp was our Feymarch freebie. Twin Harp itself gave a black shirt, so no real help there.
Yeah, this seed has been a execution race from the start so far. They start with Magma Key and Heroine Robe out of the... Okay, that's the Darkness Crystal. That is early Divergence. Dia likely to get this Darkness Crystal as well. Actually, will get this Darkness Crystal as well while taking the Tower Key on the way down. This is the first true moment of Divergence. There could be... I could see a world where one of them chooses to stay on the Earth and the other chooses to go to the moon immediately and start doing those moon checks.
What if Dia decides to just do a Penguinator special and only take on this Tower Key room, which, by the way, is going to be an objective because this should be Plague.
It's incredibly unlikely. She may feel it's a gamble she has to take, but yeah, no, there are too many objectives required at this point. Plague in the Tower Key room, that's an objective.
Yep, that's objective number 5 out the way. And will this be a double? Could we see the Adamant or the Pink Tail come from this check?
If we do, we would suddenly be one key item away from go mode. These seeds can pull tricks on you. They could look like a slog until suddenly you're in go mode. They could look like jet seeds until suddenly you've cleared the entire thing.
Yeah, so the question is, if it is an Adamant or a Pink Tail from this check, do you possibly check that package for elements? Or do you just take that Darkness Crystal, run to the moon, and start face checking everything?
Oh, I don't think it's a world either runner checks the package boss at this point. There are far too many bosses to look at still. There is an Earth Crystal, a Baron Key, a Luca Key, all looming that gate numerous bosses, including all the moon bosses and the giant, and even the King Queen spot on the hook route. And given how long the package check is for just a Palom, Pancraz did luck, I'm just going to say it's not going to happen. I will eat my shorts if Dia runs there immediately. But what they do otherwise is it's variable at this point. There's a Luca Key from the tower.
Pancraz running to follow the check.
Chat calling out Dia did check the package and reset. Thank you for that correction. I know one of them did. Oh, go ahead.
So let me counterpoint this. We've only got 4 characters, so, not the best party to do this with, but do you take this party up to the giant? You've got that Tella. Do you just D-Machine, grab some levels, hope that Elements is possibly up there, either Vanilla or at a CPU spot? And then, if you do, you've basically Galaxy brings your way into an extra objective, plus you pick up your 5th character.
That is a gamble I could see Dia leaning towards if she feels she has to make a make or break gamble. That is a, I win or lose, I win or die on this check. Now, it's only the first game, so the first loss, not the end of the world. You do get to go into the next game, even with that loss, and kind of, just shake this one off. But I'm still going to call it very unlikely. We do, of course, have the vanilla giant flag enabled, which means you cannot leave the giant once you've entered it. And between that and the slingshot flag being off has essentially kept almost all of our runners out of the giant for the majority of this tournament, aside from a couple of required giants.
Well, that's all a moot point now, because there's an Adamant down in Luca Cave. That's going to be under objective.
We'll see if Dia goes for that Luca check as well. This is a thing I have seen faded in the past by runners. We may get Divergence here.
Yeah, that makes this cannon room right now hard required. Oh, you're gonna have to work for that adamant though.
Oh god. Oh god, this is horrible. Okay, so FF4FE run buffered and was thinking about mute, but did not cast it. Would not have a way to get out of the cave. I guess it would just be a slightly longer walk, actually. Heroine Robe won't let Rosa get paralyzed here.
She is still susceptible to the instant death, though, so we'll have to see. We've got a 1 in 3 chance at the current moment.
Yeah, Rosa has to not die. Okay, this is fine. He'll get to use a Star Veil immediately now. The big problem here is that if Rosa did die and then both characters come up, they don't have time to put up a Star Veil before Golbez casts a spell. And the magic power is so incredible here that they would die to the first virus cast. And then if you lose the 50-50, essentially, it's a coin flip, then the other character would get fired too. But instead, with Rosa surviving here, it's just a little bit of luck. Golbez will just kill himself at this spot. Only has 20,000 health. Yeah, Yang will die, but then then Golbez will just keep throwing spells at himself. Rosa just has to hit him once to trigger the script to end the fight.
Yeah, if you saw FF4FE waiting until enough damage had gone by, then using the aim command, gets to one shot, and Golbez is asking why. Also, there was no worry about the Veil losing its ticks, mainly because that Tela is cursed. So that Rosa RA1, no worries about that Veil falling off anytime soon.
Yeah, essentially if the Q system can be jammed and there's no chance to take off that Veil, then it would never fall off. But also really in that situation, the Golbez, the magic power is so high that it just, I don't even think a wall would fall off, honestly.
At this point, I see FF4FE forging and then starting to face check moon bosses immediately. I think FF4FE goes straight to the moon.
Yeah, that is definitely in play. You could go straight to the bottom of the moon. You could also face check the top 2 and then go to the bottom of the moon and start face checking there. You will then start to need clearing those bosses when you don't find it. And with Baron Key and Earth Crystal both out there, there's a very good chance that Elements is not on the moon, but it's definitely a good play to make at that point, because if you do run into Elements, then you're just in go mode. Not only are you just in go mode, but you're on the moon, so you can just run straight to Zeromus. And otherwise, you just start to do the density of the moon checks with the key items and hope to get the pink tail instead, or your way to, Baron Castle or the Earth Crystal. So moon is very, very, very tempting at this point, especially with that Feymarch being slow and difficult.
Yeah, this is a situation where what I would probably do if it were me running this, which I got knocked out in the opening round, so take that with a grain of salt. I'd go up, check K Bahamut, see who's there. Come out, do who's ever at the Pale Dim. Just because it's a check, I don't want to have to walk back down here. We'll face check it if it's not Elements, take care of it, that way I never have to come back. After that point, I would go down to the bottom and start face checking, and if I don't find my Elements, then think about, okay, do I want to start doing these checks or not?
Yeah, that's definitely one way to take it. The other is to just go straight down to the bottom of the moon. Another way to do it is to just do the top-down strategy of clear the top checks and then go down. Okay, it was Dia who checked the package, and now FF4FE is making the Mist Cave boss check and the package check. Doesn't find what he wants. Likely going to the moon at this point. Yep, I see that's where he's headed. But the interesting thing about the moon, for basically almost every seed that you play in this flag set, or in a lot of flag sets, in a 1v1 race, this is where metagaming kind of becomes a thing of what do you think your opponent will do versus what do you think you should do? Or you could honestly just make a random choice essentially when they're not all wrong. And when they all look equally interesting. So I think really any of those options with the routing on the moon could be in play. I don't think there's one obvious choice.
Dia gets a little unlucky, has the Rosa go down to demolish, but does win the 50-50, gets the Starveil up on Quorum. She's going to be able to get through this fight with no problem. Had to see what her choice is next. Is she going to do the same thing? Going to start face checking on the moon? Or does she say, my opponent's probably already here, I need to start doing some checks. I need to see if I can find this pink tail and get lucky.
Her other option would be just the Pale Dim and CPU down in the Feymarch, and neither of those fights are very fast. Dia would want to do a grind before taking on Pale Dim, probably, unless she wants to stake her entire race on it, essentially. So I'm going to guess Dia also goes to the moon, but may feel she needs to take that kind of risk at this point. She did wipe once to Dwarf Castle to just an unlucky Luge fight.
That is a Lunar Ninja. That is an edge up here. That's not a bad find. I have not seen any good weapons other than the one longsword, and I don't even think Pankraz picked it up. I think Dia is the one who picked the longsword up.
Yeah, I'm not sure either if we have good equipment for that edge. Even if he does not have good equipment, he does have darts at least, if they have any darts. But yeah, on the C, Neki flag set, that edge does not start with any of his good armor that he would normally start with, his strength boosting gear, and he only starts with one weapon, which I think best case scenario might be like a medium, maybe. But if it's anything like what my edge always starts with, it's a Charm Claw.
I was going to say, it's always a Charm Claw. What are you talking about?
It's just always a Charm Claw.
But yeah, at the current moment, that's really the only difference in this seed is that wipe to Dr. Luge that Dia took. Other than that, these runners have been on the same path the entire way through. There has not been much divergence at all.
Which means Dia will need to make a point of divergence. She'll need to force a point of divergence because she is behind at this point.
Now, it looks like Pankraz is going to go ahead and grind at 9 key items. Says, I don't want to wait. I don't want to risk it. Let's go ahead and start getting a grind going. In the meantime, we did see that is Mylon Z up there at Cave Bahamut. That's a little bit of an ouchy spot because Mylon likes to punch.
Yeah, that spot it's tied for the highest physical attack power in the game, and none of our party members have good armor to speak of. It would likely one-shot every single party member at this moment. Taking this grind right away for Pankraz makes a lot of sense to me because you want levels on this team for better defense and for Yang to have more attack power to him, since really it's just levels and strength that improve what he'll do for your team. So it makes sense to me to take one King Ryu fight here and then start, especially when you know you're going to have to start bosses.
And started with a Fire Claw.
Fire Claw useful against Mylon Zed.
I was going to say, it's useful. Yang. It's like ironically useful currently, but yeah, you. Also, Pankraz tried to have Yang use magic twice. Yes, he is the punch mage, but he does not know exit.
You know, sometimes when you go a little bit too fast, you know, you start to... Okay, interesting. Pankraz is going back to Earth.
I don't know if this is just a misclick or if he's thinking about that Feymarch, saying, I want to think about it.
It's got to be the Feymarch, right?
I mean, he's like,
yeah, heading back down.
Or he might be going back for more sirens.
That is also a possibility. I don't know how many he bought versus how many Dia bought. I know one of them bought 3 or 4 of them. I'm not sure how many Pankraz bought. And yeah, heading back over, it looks like...
going for Bacchus and Hourglasses.
Oh, right, the Bacchus and Hourglasses are here. Pankraz bought 3 of each, I want to say.
I wonder if we're going to spend all the rest of our money on Hourglasses here, and then maybe even go back and steal some Sirens.
Could also be edge weapons here. I don't remember what's in this shop.
Full Moons. And Drain Spears. That's what we're after. 16 of them. That's going to do some work.
Drain Spear, 88 attack power, if I'm not wrong. Old school vanilla speedrun strategy to defeat Zeromus. Drain Spear is a dart, very powerful. That is essentially Edge's weaponry at this point.
Yeah, if he can hold on to that Fire Claw all you want, we're going to have him chuck some Drain Spears at some people.
Very good memory to know that those Drain Spears were in that shop. Either very good memory or wrote it down. Either way, just... And knowing that and making that check immediately, it's just... It's so good.
FF4FE is coming back up to the moon and is going to take the rest. In the meantime, Dia is doing the mini grind with her last siren. And is going to dive into the LST. We'll have to see if he goes bottom up or top down.
Did he save before coming in?
I believe he did.
Then probably top down. You save on your way down, because if you happen to wipe at the you don't get a chance to save. Or it just could be a safety save, gonna head his way down. Bottom makes a lot of sense. You have a large density of bosses and key item checks down there. Could start face checking those bosses first. At least the Ribbon Room, the White Spear Altar, and the Ogo Pogo Altar. And then if you don't find elements in any of those spots, you just start taking on bosses.
Okay, I think FF4FE goes White Spear first. And the reason for that is we're 1 key item from 10. If White Spear gives a key item of some sort, that's 10 key items. That's double XP from that Ribbon Room and Ogo spot.
Yep, if he is looking to take, if he's looking to get key items, that'll definitely be. I agree with that. May choose to face check for bosses first. Like I said earlier, there are 5 bosses unknown between Zot and Baron Key, so your odds of finding elements are lower here at this point, but we'll see what they choose to do.
So Dia, done with her grind, is heading back to Earth herself. Interesting to see if this is going to be for more sirens and hourglasses, or if this is going to be for something else.
She may make the exact same play of going back to Eblan and buying Drain Spears. I wouldn't be that surprised. Heading into Mysidia instead.
Mute Bells could have, picked up some of those on a Warlock grind.
Maybe looking for life potions or camping gear.
Oh, that is a nasty spot for those Magus Sisters. Yeah, the spell power there isn't too high, but that's a fast spot. They are going to be very, very quick. And
but
that was the all Gauntlet.
Oh, wow. All right, but here's that strategy I talked about. Okay, 2 things. First of all, face checking for elements. Second of all, if we don't find elements, the alt Gauntlet gating 2 key items, that's rude.
Yeah, people in chat are going, these resets are fast, how do you know? There's a little bit of an extra delay when the Gauntlet comes up, because it's got to load in those sprites. So FF4FE do it immediately. That's why I was able to reset before the defossil even got onto the screen. He could tell from just the delay, oh, this is a Gauntlet. Oh no, oh no, 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 no.
All right, we have not found elements, so checking the Crystal Altar first. This makes sense to me from the perspective of none of those boss fights at the bottom of the moon are very fun. The Dark Elf is very annoying because of the first form's Piggy. If you Piggy's Tella, then you can't really weak or Hourglass. I guess actually you do have Hourglasses in your inventory, but opting to see what the boss is at the Crystal Altar, I'm going to guess we'll take the boss if it's doable, since he's here.
Time Dia picked up a few more Hourglasses, a few Bacchus Wines, I believe, and is right back up on the moon. We'll see where she goes from here. This is a rude moon.
And a Mom Bomb at the Crystal Sword Altar. Some of the highest attack power in the game. Actually, all of these spots punch very, very hard. And Mom Bomb, all she does is punch, but her little bomblets, They all punch really hard. No, they do have hourglasses, so like, all of these fights are doable. It's just sort of pick your poison.
Pankraz says, my poison's going to be putting mute arrows on my Rosa, berserking her up, letting her go to town on these Maga Sisters. Because guess what? They're mages.
Yep, and the way this fight works is that the one sister will put up a wall, and the middle sister and Mindy will start reflecting tier 2 spells onto the party, but without the little sister. With the little sister gone, all these two are going to do is punch until Cindy gets a chance to pick up. She'll recover her sisters given enough time. So with the little one down, a lot of the difficulty of this fight goes down. Now, this like I mentioned, all the moon spots punch really hard. So this is sort of the fight's not over, essentially.
There's a remedy. We have a Mindy back. However, our Rosa is berserked. That's 6,000 damage already on that Mindy. She is not going to be long for this world. The unintentional side effect from here is doing a little bit of a sister grind.
If only the sisters were next door, you could actually consider a Maga Sisters grind at that spot. At this spot, not really worth a lot of experience, but yeah, with Berserk up, really no choice of who Rosa targets here. Could end up killing the front and back sisters repeatedly, but with a little bit of kind targeting and everyone else focusing down the middle sister, FF4FE is going to get through just fine. Dia, in the meanwhile, choosing to take a bit of a grind here.
In the meantime, FF4FE is through. Again, not too much experience, only about 40,000, a couple levels for everybody. The big thing, though, is if this is a key item, that's huge. Or it could be a glass hat, which is nice, but not going to do us any good right now.
So the glass hat, it's sad. It's not what you want. A glass hat itself is honestly rather useful. Like I said, Moon hurts, punches very hard. Would not be surprised if he puts it on someone. May not bother. Looks like he's not going to bother. Interested more in the speed, but it's one of those checks that's like, your opponent probably is going to do that fight first also, given the other fights available on this kind of nasty moon. FF4FE going for the next, like, least annoying fight in the Dark Elf here at the Ogopogo altar.
Yeah, I like this play here. Again, we're hunting for a 10th key item at this point because that gauntlet can be our grind, and a 10 key item gauntlet in the ribbon room is an even better grind. So do this first. Yes, this technically has a little bit more experience normally at it, but by getting out of the way, if it's a key item, you get a boatload of experience from that all gauntlet, if it's even required.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely one of those situations where an alt gauntlet is annoying, but it's also your grind. So then you're almost kind of happy to see it, because you know your opponent is going to be faced with that same choice.
So this could be a little bit bad. That weak hitting Rosa, we need to get a cure up on her ASAP. It looks like we might be able to get that cure 3-pot off in time. But Dia giving us Divergence. She is going to go top down. We're going to find out who's at the Pale Dim altar.
Piggy Yang don't care. Still gonna punch. Yeah, Dia hopefully forcing a little bit of divergence here. Needs to make a play. Knows that she wiped in the mid game at Dwarf Castle. She can just assume her opponent didn't have trouble there. At least that would be the sort of safe play to make. Finds a Rubicon.
That is full leg. We wanted quarter leg. Quarter leg's who we're after, not full leg. But a very doable fight in this spot.
That was a nice claw. And
does the same thing FF4FE did in an earlier fight. Takes the Ice Claw off during the Berserk cast. So Yang is going to be punching with the power of the Ice Claw without the actual Ice Claw on. And Edge can say, oh, you know that Ice Claw you just took off? Let me see that. Lock is up. And hey, we've got two people with the power of Ice Claws punching on our screen.
Yep, this is exactly the same tech that you see sometimes at Z when you want to share an Excalibur and you have an Avenger or somebody who casts Berserk. Now, Edge won't make exactly as much use because his weaponry is not very good, and him just punching is not great, but you know, between that and whatever sword that he's wearing, still doing very good damage here.
So Dia's Edge has that long sword as the secondary weapon.
Right, you called out that one of them picked up a longsword earlier. Longsword, quite useful here.
In the meantime, Pankraz is into the second phase of the Dark Elf fight. Second phase of Dark Elf does not have the boss fit. So Tella says, hey, I know this cool spell called Weak. Bye, Dark Elf. And that is sadly a womp for Dia. That is just a sorcerer rogue. Great piece of gear, not helpful. Sand Ruby on Pankraz's side. Hey, that's at least 10 key items. Let's try it on the Gauntlet, shall we?
That's pretty awful news for Dia. That Paladin altar, given Pankraz's routing, he is very, very, very unlikely to ever check that Paladin. Very, very unlikely. He would have to get walled off by a boss down here and choose to go top, or like take a moment to go look up there just to see if an Elements is up there, but I don't really see either situation happening.
I mean, the only way that Pankraz checks that altar is if we do not get Earth Baron, Pan, or Rat Tail, or Pinktail from any of these checks up here, which is highly unlikely.
That's fair. There could be nothing here, and if nothing is down here, then that Feymarch that both our runners have faded has the value. But Pankraz, in the meanwhile, with that 10th key item, you called it, now taking on this alt Gauntlet.
Yeah, it's 5 fights, pulled from the local area. We start with a D-Fossil. I believe there's a King Ryu at some point. If I remember correctly, the last 2 fights are both Trickers, so those are kind of your freebie, heal up, take care of business fights. So if you can get through the first 3, the final 2 are free.
Yeah, I want to say of the alt gauntlets, this is probably the friendliest. The 2 down in the Ribbon Room and the White Spear altar, kind of compared to the other spots.
Pankraz making use of the hourglasses he still has in his inventory, going to stop the King Ryu here. Probably do the same thing next fight in the King Ryu fight. And Tella says, hey, I know this cool spell called Weak. I used it against Dark Elf. You want to see what it does?
It's actually a good point to make a shout out for that spell. Alt Gauntlet on the moon, also also 1 damage taking. That weak spell puts the enemy down to single digits. It doesn't always go to 1 hit point, so that 1 hit point killing is pretty funny. Anyways, weak spell, alt Gauntlet on the moon. It's your best friend. Make use of it. And actually, the power of the Cursed Ring being shown on display here, both our runners getting that Cursed Ring very early, meaning that Tella can stay alive without really messing up the agility for the party, the agility situation for the party, able to be your weak caster here.
Ooh, Pankraz tried to go for the power strats on that kill to try to see if he can get double life glitch. Unfortunately, not able to, but still, it was a pretty good attempt.
Yeah, getting double life glitch is pretty tricky. You can do it with power, you can do it with Kane's jump. You're more likely to do it with a tier 2 elemental spell because your weak caster can also cast a tier 2 elemental spell. The timing on Battle Speed 1, though, is very, 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 very tight.
But in the meantime, you see we're getting like 4 levels for each character here. And then 2 Tricker fights, these are going to be free. Just don't cast Lid on it, you're fine. If you do happen to cast Lid on it, well, why? Do you like pain? Is that what it is?
I know we joke about this, but it starts AoE casting Lit 3, right? On the enemy party. He is actually weak to Lit. With that mute, I think Tella... Oh, Tella is queuing a weak. Does muting the trigger stop it from... Oh, it stops the peep. That's clever. I did not know that. That makes sense. Peep is a spell.
Rivers in chat saying cast Toad on it, then cast Lid on it.
Then laugh at it. I'm actually wondering if you could just mute the trigger and then Lit 3 it.
I don't know. You want to ask FF4FE 15 minutes ago to find out?
Perhaps. While our runners are both taking on boss fights, I will take a moment to shout out Tricker. Not just an enemy in FF4, but we've turned Tricker into a bot. Zoe Vermilion turning, giving us mystery seeds via that Tricker bot. Very fun seeds could be available in our Discord. Go into our Discord. There is a mystery seeds channel. You can find information about how to use the Tricker bot, and then... Okay, wait. Pause what I was saying. Baron Key, Earth Crystal, FF4FE exiting right now. That is 5 boss checks that suddenly showed up.
Well, 4 checks and 3 key items because of D.Miss plus Slot plus Baron. Actually, 4 key items plus Baron Basement.
Yeah, that's fair. We know the D.Miss, so it's 4 boss checks. But yeah, given all that value, ready to chase. Even got the grind done from doing that alt gauntlet.
Yeah, so this right here could be our point of divergence. If Dia goes and decides, I want a full clear moon up there, takes on that Mom Bomb, and that Mom Bomb has the pink tail. This could still be very easily Dia should just kind of swoop in and take. But if that Mom Bomb has anything other than that pink tail and Dia does go for it, yeah, FF4FE is probably well in the lead.
Let's hope that's what she does. We are in an execution race. If she does not force a point of divergence from sort of the routing the seed wants you to play, she is behind. She will very likely lose. So let's hope that she makes a different choice here. I can't fault her for doing the routing that she's doing. This is sort of saying you're hoping that your opponent also stumbled a little bit somewhere, and that you know that the value is down here most likely, and you still want to get to it. You just kind of have to hope that you get to it faster, that your opponent made a different check. There is a world, it's very small, there is a world where Baron, D-Mist, Baron Basement, and Zot all have nothing.
It's a very small world, after all, but it is a world.
That world would put elements at Queen Spot, Package Boss, or on the Giant, and it would put the pink tail on the moon.
In the meantime, FF4FE going to find his D-Mist. Probably not going to be long for the world as his D-Mist. The only question is going to be, does FF4FE go do Basement first before taking out the Throne? Or does he do Throne first?
I think either is defensible. The thing with going to the Throne first is that you're committed to completing that fight versus just doing Baron, but I think they're both pretty equal to me. I'm also missing in the options that I named. Neither runner did do the Feymarch, so Pinktail could also be in the Feymarch behind either CPU or Paladin.
In the meantime, we have a French vanilla Baigan on the throne. Baigan got tired of being the chief of the guard, said, I wanted to take the action for myself, became the actual king, and unfortunately is not going to have a good time on that throne.
Baigan just wanted to taste that true power.
At this point, Rosa just learned white for FF4FE. He is fully leveled. Hey, there's everyone's favorite betrayer. You think he's joining the party? We do have Drain Spheres for him.
I love that sprite palette, but yeah, No.
Meantime, Dia does get through the Dark Elf fight, and Ogopogo picks up her Sand Ruby. She now has 10 key items. Probably gonna go take that Gauntlet on and do her grind.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. She'll get the Earth Crystal and the Baron Key from it, and that may opt her to dip instead also. Okay, here's the point of Divergence. Warps. Heading to the Crystal Sword Altar.
Dia has
Probably
not face-checked this, so she does not know it's a Mob Bomb waiting for her.
No, and she hasn't been face-checking bosses.
Just an X-Cow in the Baron trash can today.
Nice start, not what you want. But Dia didn't opt to do a face-check type of thing, so very likely to take on this Crystal Sword Altar. Could have the Pigtail. Or a Rat Tail into the Pigtail.
Well, we know what it's not. It is not going to be a Rat Tail, because that's from D-Mist.
Oh, this is getting tense. Rat Tail could have Pigtail. Or it could have the Pan, which could have the Pigtail. Or it could have the Pan chain into nothing.
Or it could have the Pass, or it could have the Spoon, or it could have absolutely nothing. Or my favorite, it couldn't have a Crystal Sword and we not see a Cecil all seed.
Already got one Holy Sword, why not two?
Meanwhile,
Dia
Pankraz playing,
taking
dude, where's my hovercraft? And having to go find it.
Yeah, this is a point very tense now. Go mode is in any number of locations. All bosses are essentially available to our runners. Well, okay, to Pankraz, all the bosses are available. Mom Bomb needs to have something for Dia. Like Mom Bomb or the Feymarch, and she leaves and goes to the Feymarch.
The Rat Tail, unfortunately, was a bust. It was just a samurai armor. Edge could use it, but that's about it. And if you ever put a samurai armor on Edge, why?
It's defense.
That is an octopus as the true king of Baron today. Kind of curious how she got here, but I guess, Baron guards kicked her out, sent her on a one-way trip to the castle, and they decided to take their shower tonight.
This octopus swims its way through all sorts of terrain. I have questions. I have so many questions.
Dia does get through the Mon Bomb. Let us see if this pays out. We need Pigtail or Pan. It's a Pan.
That's huge. That could hold a Pigtail. We'll see if Dia chooses to chase it. Walking back.
She's going to save scum it. Drops the save there at the Crystal Sword also, so she can really quickly reset back and come back to that save and do those all Gauntlet if need be.
So we're at an exciting point of divergence here. Dia with the Pan. Pankraz at the Baron basement. We're suddenly at a place where Dia was behind. Now we're at anyone's game here.
Just a dragon whip. Oh, so Pankraz next stop more likely going to be Zot. That's two more bosses, one more key item check.
And chat pointing out Edge's damage with the spears doubled with that grind. Correct. With levels, I think levels are the only thing that influences the damage that deal with darts, and it's a flat formula. The higher the level, the more damage.
Oh, Pankraz saying no to this treasury. Then again, hour 16 in, I do not blame him one bit. I would not go to that treasury at this point.
No, that would be, yeah, no. Chat also pointing out, if Dia finds a Pigtail, and Pankraz finds the elements, we did talk about a tie at the start of this race.
I'm pretty sure there was a tie. Neobari would be banned from restreaming the rest of the tournament. And I really don't want that. So, yeah, no ties, please.
Well, that was just a crystal armor, I believe, from the Sylph Chuck. Sheila 2 has to have it. If
Anytime
Sheila 2
Pank-
doesn't, if Sheila 2 doesn't have the pink tail, Dia would have to go to the Feymarch in order to still be in it.
Meantime, we find Bahamut up here in the Maggot Sister spot. This is very easy spot. We're going to get through this, no issue, no problem. The other play of Divergence Dia could do is Dia could gamble on the Giant. I do believe we'd see the Feymarch first before going to that Giant, but that is another gamble you could take. That's just a vanilla spoon.
Yep, could go to the Giant, could go to the package boss, could even go to the King Queen, but instead goes back to the Moon.
Yeah, she's going to go back to that Gauntlet at a Ribbon Room. Hey, look, there's a Cecil.
Going back to the bottom is bad news. It will be her grind, and she does really want to take a grind with this party, but if this just puts her following FF4FE footsteps, I'm getting worried.
Well, here comes the thing. We're about to find out whether or not that Feymarch has value. Because if this is not the pink tail, this is either pass or absolutely nothing. And then we know the Feymarch is where the pink tail is. At that point, we would need to see, does Dia make the gamble go to the Giant, see if Elements is up there, if Elements is not here. Because this is Ashura, this is not Elements.
I want to say she has to do that, because if they both go to the Feymarch after these respective checks, FF4FE is still going to be ahead. One would have to check the opposite, like FF4FE would have to do Pale Dim and Dia would have to do CPU, and CPU would have to have it. Dia's still slightly behind here. Once we get into once we sort of put their routing back into the same path. It is very close though. But Dia has an entire gauntlet to contend here with, whereas Ashura is already dead.
Yeah, we are one very tiny short cutscene away from finding out whether or not this was all for nothing. Is Dia going to be in very bad shape, or is FF4FE going to just say, hey, I'm running away with this?
The other boss I don't believe either runner did is the Cave Bahamut check.
Correct, that Mylon
Behind
Z was not checked.
Yeah. Is this it?
Just a lunar staff. Is it K Bahamut? Is it Feymarch? Where do we think we're going to go next?
Wow, and the hits keep on missing. And they keep on missing. I don't know how many checks we just saw fail, but that was it was a very large number.
FF4FE at this point knows that Feymarch has value of some sort. Now, the ultimate irony would be if that CPU holds the value.
Yeah, that sure would be something. You would at least know your opponent didn't do it, because if either opponent did it, the race would just be done at this point for one of them. But yeah, that that run over to Mysidia and then the swerve back and the missing the I think FF4FE is in a little bit of panic mode at the moment. I certainly would be. All the checks that you've made after that dip from the moon for FF4FE failed essentially, and so it's really the race to where's the finish.
Yeah, the no save tells me FF4FE is going straight for that CPU. It's not going to bother to save. If CPU doesn't hold anything, then we'll probably go back to the save point, heal up, and then try to work on that Pale Dim. But yeah, going CPU straight off the bat. Going to use the last of our Drain Spheres, more likely to whittle down the CPU.
This is where the Drain Spears are also very useful. Does not care about wall, does not care about being back row glitched. Does a good amount of damage. The spot has, I want to say 15,000 hit points on the CPU. Maybe like 18, actually probably more like 18, 19,000. It's not a lot. while I get a moment to catch my breath before we get into a likely very exciting finish here, I do want to shout out the Restream team one more time. I've got Gambit here with me on comms. We've got Neobari doing the restreaming. We've got Scythe Marshall doing our tracking. This show would not happen without pretty much really everyone involved, including our racers. Give everyone a follow. Take a moment. Appreciate how good this match has been so far. And give them a follow.
And do not forget to also follow my wonderful co-commentator Solaris, who is doing a lot of heavy lifting tonight, making sure to explain kind of everything that's going on. So does definitely deserve a follow as well.
I appreciate that. You and me, I think we're a pretty good team, Gambit. I'm really glad I got to do comms with you tonight.
As am I, my friend, as am I. The FF4FE is about to show us moment of truth. CPU is down, and we have... That's value. Well,
there it is. That's go mode for FF4FE with the pink tail at CPU.
So I would like to go back to the very beginning of this siege. When we walked down here and I said, that CPU is slow, but doable. Do you come back and take that fight? I feel vindicated.
You would have absolutely, for this seed, have been correct. I don't blame either runner not coming back, because again, when you go to the Feymarch, you sort of want to be able to do them both. And without them both being quick, maybe when you've got the Drain Spear darts, the money for the Drain Spears, you could kind of do the Feymarch before going back up. Darts would make both of those encounters rather quick, but yeah, go mode was available rather quite a long while ago for our runners here, but with the pink tail in hand for FF4FE, chat, I'm sorry to inform you, but this is almost certainly FF4FE's win. Dia would have to go straight to the Feymarch, not do Zot or Baron, and FF4FE would have to wipe, possibly even twice.
Yeah, Moon is completely haunted this seed. I mean, we don't know what was at Mylon Z. It could be the pass there, which would have been helpful. Other than that, this was a no Moon seed. We were fine without the Moon. So,
yeah, many runners like to joke about never Moon. I'm certainly one of them. Or not even joke, just like take the mindset of, I don't ever want to go to the Moon if I don't have to, but Moon was very... I think the Moon was very tempting on this seed because of the density of key item checks and boss checks on the boss hunt. So, both runners played a very good game, but both stayed very close to each other's footsteps. And with Dia taking that early wipe at Dwarf Castle, it's sort of hard to say past that, but this has been an execution race essentially. And for this seed anyways, Dia almost certainly has lost it.
Yeah, this came down to that early wipe, and then her decision saying, I'm feeling behind. I want to take on the Pale Dim Ulcer, which was a white womp. I want to take on the Crystal Sword, which gave that hand, but was a womp. And then just falling farther and farther behind, unfortunately. And when you're in a foot race with FF4FE, you can't fall behind. You can either keep up or you're done. FF4FE gets the crystal, turns into the pink tail. There's an Artemis bow. Hey, you know that heroine robe on that Rosa? You want to keep it on her? Just let her go burr.
She's certainly well set up to now. FF4FE still has that single samurai arrow, I'm rather sure. Has an arty bow in hand. Good amount better than a samurai bow, which honestly to me with a heroine robe, good enough at Z. But has the white spell on her as well. Might choose to reflect instead, since Porum also has a white. We'll see what way he goes here.
That lunar staff going on, that tells me we're going to be bouncing some whites. Probably doing a hybrid strategy. Going to bounce whites with the two white mages. Going to zerk up the edge and the yang. And FF4FE's on his way to a moon. Has a long walk down. So again, we didn't find the pass, but we're going to be towards the finale of this race pretty soon, looks like.
Yeah, if FF4FE has a silver staff or a unicorn, he could also Bacchus on that yang and then use the unicorn to cure the berserk status, sort of using Gang as yet another You can think of his fists like Nuke, essentially. They'll do similar damage over time. You just need to stop him from tipping Z past his HP refill point.
I mean, we do call him the Punch Mage. Those fists are like Nuke once you get levels.
That's very true. Yang has gained a lot of respect for me over the course of this tournament. I mean, I know that late game he is good, but on a flag set, like most bracket flag sets where you're really pinched on gear because of T-Pro or not being able to buy things because you don't have any money, puts a lot of good value onto Yang, who just doesn't need any gear.
Yeah, Yang with levels is great. You get him early game, I definitely say keep him in this flag set. You get him late game, it's a little hard to get him up to stuff. But yeah, he has definitely changed my opinion on him this tournament. He can be a workhorse.
Especially if your starting kit opens with a karate shirt, a black belt, a poison claw, or he starts with a poison claw, or I've even seen that kit open you up with a cat claw. Get a little bit of strength on him, and he's much more powerful than he would be otherwise after a few levels.
Anything but a charm claw, right?
Still has its niche uses. Good against giants. Gives him a little bit more speed. But yeah, charm claw no better than just being barefisted, so yeah.
So you say good against giants, now I'm going, man, I miss seeing Mac Giant grinds.
I don't. Not even a little bit. I don't miss seeing them. I don't miss doing them. They're not fun. The Mac Giants in particular, the manipulation to get it is very hard. Anyways.
All right, well, we had one round of flags that we kind of ignored because we were a little early. Now we're getting a second round of flags, and we're actually in the lower LST, so I feel like there's a question we're supposed to be asking.
Whose Zed are we gonna... something?
No. We left Mylon Zed alone. He's just gonna stay in Cape Bahamut.
Oh, is
no
it Mylon Zed nap time?
That works for me. Mylon Zed nap time. I like that. Do we need to sing a lullaby to him? I mean, what kind of lullaby does Mylon Zed like?
Certainly not that Twin Harp song.
No, that's reserved only for Dark Elf. But no, we don't advise Zeromus into the boss pool because he's a little bit too big, a little bit too bad. But we don't want to leave him alone either. So we have 527 or 28, I forget exactly which, number of sprites that he has. So there's a question we'd like to ask. It's hilarious. I will let you do the honors tonight.
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight? I'm hoping it's cute.
Yes, the important question is this a cute butt? Does it even have a butt?
How many butts does it have?
Who is butt? What is butt? When is butt? How is butt? Why is butt? Wherefore thou butt?
Is butt doing okay? Does butt need a break?
And this is that 1% chance for Sephiroth.
I do like a good Sephiroth sprite.
That seems somewhat fitting, doesn't it?
It's the true villain all along, the Crystal. Hello, Christmas. Long time no see.
So we toss a crystal and turn Zeromus into a crystal, or did we toss a crystal and Zeromus like absorbed into the crystal and like gain the crystal's powers?
I'm gonna go with the latter. That's my headcanon now. But yeah, we see... This is how reflect strats go for this type of party here. You get a Star Veil up on your top actor. You start reflecting whites. With this team, all you really have are whites to reflect, but then Edge has those darts. With Pankraz counting damage here, you just don't want to go over about 40,000. I think it's actually like 42, but as long as he doesn't go over that value, then you can reflect whites at that point to kill Zeromus to get through the 65,000 hit points that he has. Otherwise, you hit the hit point refill, which is a script trigger because there's not enough memory for him to have more than 65,000 hit points. attacking him past 42,000 health would have him like refill those hit points back and then kind of go into a new phase of the fight. So by doing the reflex strat, you're trying to avoid that essentially.
So at this point, why this fight is pretty much going to be academic for FF4FE, let's guesstimate where that element was. We still have the King Queen Eblan spot, we have Package Boss, and we have the 2 spots on the Giant. 1 in 4 chance of any of those spots. Where do you think our elements was tonight?
To give you a 2 out of 2 for just vindicated plays, I'm going to call it at the package.
We'll have to see if one of our runners goes back and checks at some point after the seed is done. But FF4FE is well into this fight, tossing some Cure 2s just to make sure everybody's levels are up. Probably not in any danger here. We'll probably see a second Big Bang. It's a little bit worrisome for that Quorum, just because White is such a long cast. It takes a while to get off, but tossing the Cure 2s up on Rosa to make sure she's got enough HP to survive a full power Big Bang. In the meantime, Dia decided to do the base whip first, so has to walk out that unfortunate Dragon Whip and is going to go ahead and take on the Baigen at the throne here next.
Yeah, with Dia able to have 2 actors here to throw out Cure 2s, may even be looking to nerf a Big Bang. In a really good spot.
Or could just cast a White and be over.
Yep. And that is game set for FF4FE game 1 at a time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 48 seconds. Very well done by FF4FE, and we'll see if we can get him in for an interview shortly.
And I do believe we are now joined by the winner himself, xPankraz. GG's, and congratulations on taking a 1-0 lead.
GG's, thank you very much.
So, you know what, just tell us about your thoughts overall on the seed.
Which point?
Well, okay. Heroine Robe, Magma Key. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking over you. Go ahead.
Like, I've got 3 like groups of times in that seed, and my thoughts on the seed vary wildly in those times.
Let's go with the start. You've got Heroine Robe, Magma Key start. What's on your mind?
That one, I want to get underground and get a weapon for Rosa. That's the only thing I'm thinking. I have the Heroine Robe. She at best is going to have like Charm Archer, and I know underground shops we can probably pick up Sammy. Maybe I can loot a bandana. Maybe I can buy a bandana. Something along those lines. I get both, luckily, and then I can just tear through the rest of the seed, or the rest of the early game at least, with Rosa. And I didn't expect it to be just Rosa quite to that extent, but we got there in the end.
It definitely was the Rosa show early on. Okay, how about when the Darkness Crystal shows up? What's on your mind then?
I really hope that there's another character on the moon, and also that I'm thinking about just face checking the bosses at this point. Until I found the Plague and the Tower Key right afterward, I knew that maybe if I just find both of them, I'm in Go mode, it could be great. Well, or no, I wasn't in Go mode yet because I didn't have the Forge, but the moon was a super alluring play at that point. One to finish out at least the Tower Key, see what I can find, then go up to the moon, get some hourglasses on with Tella, get a good grind. Maybe I'll have 10 key items for it, maybe I won't, who knows. And just start face checking, start clearing the moon, hoping for the best. Then right afterward, find Plague in the Tower Key, chase the Luca Key, get the Adamant. Suddenly I'm just elements away from Go mode, and that changes things a little more drastically, while also still just screaming, go to the moon, go to the moon, go to the moon, in my head.
So before you went up to the moon, again, we did leave those 2 Feymarch checks hanging. Knowing that CPU was basically a free, if not long fight, was there any thought of doing that first before going to the moon, or was the thought of, I am just elements away from Go mode, let's face check first, come like basically screaming saying, this is more important, let's do this first?
A lot of the latter. I figured that I would at least face check, see if I can stumble into it. CPU, while free, I would be aiming with Rosa every hit. I'd have to go and buy more samurai arrows because she'd run out. And just aim 800, 900 damage at a time over and over and over again. I didn't feel like sitting through 19, 20 rounds of that to get through the fight. So figured I'd leave it there, even if it's free. Hedge my bets on the moon. Hedge my bets on maybe another character. If it's Fu, then, you know, Moon's a lot easier. If it's Cecil, Moon's a lot easier. Yada, yada, yada. And it's just, with the party that I had at that point, CPU just didn't seem attractive whatsoever. Best I can do is very small, very slow chip damage, even if it's free. And I figured I could come back later, kill it faster, and it's also a one-off check versus 6 boss checks and a lot of key items on the moon.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. Gambit, did you have any other questions?
Just what was your thought process when you saw, or I should say, felt that delay with that all gauntlet in that ribbon room? What was your initial thought on finding that?
The very first time when I felt it, I said nope, and hit that reset button nice and quickly. But then, like, as I'm reloading the save, my save, I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. I just bought a whole bunch of hourglasses. I've got, you know, maybe I can fight these other spots real quick. Try to hit that 10 key items, and then that's my grind in a box if I so desire it. It'll be quick in air quotes, subject to certain definitions of quick. But it was definitely doable with weak on Tela, with mutes, with everything to just kind of kill everything. And plus, there's the added bonus of maybe Dia doesn't want to do this. So finding the Earth Crystal and the Baron Key, and then knowing that I have access to every boss spot in the game on the other side, was a big, like, sweet moment. It seemed like things were going to pay off. I figure I'll go back to Earth, I'll chase these. I know that Baron is 3 key item checks because the Demist at Baigen will go there first, and then you saw the rest. It was it was a tragedy.
It was a lot of nothing into nothing into nothing. Was there any consideration of the giant at that point?
A small one. I figured that I'd at least go, well, after doing Feymarch, go check the Murasame spot, because I did not check that. Whoops. And then probably close up the loose ends on Earth, check the package, check the King Queen Eblan spot, and then go to the giant.
Yeah, for this seed, so the reason why Dia is as far behind you as she is, well, one, we see her doing boss checks at the moment, but she took an early wipe at Dwarf Castle to Luge, just really just unlucky sleep targeting. And also,
yeah, that'll do it.
She did check that top moon altar spot, and it was a Mom Bomb. No, Mom Bomb was Crystal Sword. I forget what was there, but it didn't have anything.
It was leg.
It was Ruby.
Yeah, leg with a sorcerer robe. It was full leg when we wanted only quarter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the seed didn't even like prank us with a ruby at any point. There was no ruby sprite to check for. I don't have ruby marked on my tracker even, and we're on an elements hunt and he doesn't show up. I don't know. It felt bad.
Yeah.
Dia gave us a check of King Queen Eblan. It was only DMs down there. She's actually currently doing the checkup package. We'll find out the boss here in momentarily. But Pankraz, once again, GG's. You looking to just kind of play the same game for game 2, or are you thinking about changing it up a little bit with that 1-0 lead, taking a couple more gambles, just see if you can't put it away any faster?
I'm gonna just keep playing my game. Like, my game's a pretty good one. It's gotten me this far, and I play it well. So don't want to deviate too much from it. Don't want to do any big gambles, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. The plan right now is a lot more of the same. Play my efficient gameplay, see what happens, and hope for the best.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Or you could throw us a curveball. Certainly wouldn't want to give away too much strategy, perhaps, if you did. So,
I mean, maybe all of this is just an elaborate ruse, and I'm going to go dive the moon at level 20. You don't know me.
It's true. It's true.
Well, I hate to interrupt, but Solaris, I'm 2 for 2.
Oh my god, you are.
So, to let you know, I called Pinktail at CPU early when you first saw it, and I called Elements to package, and it was Elements to package.
Oh no, what are they doing there?
That was the one I was like, that's Galaxy Brain if that happens. There's no way that they just go for that, which they didn't, but it being there is, oh wow.
If it wasn't Edge on the moon, my play was going to be to go back and pick up the Palom at the package. If it was Edge or Fu, I charge up on the moon. If it's anybody else, I pick up Palom and do a big grind and get big spell and just lean into a Reflect Party. That's rough. Stinking Edge.
That's actually
stinking Palom hiding at the package. That's so rude. Why would you even have Neobari?
Right, you didn't even have a fifth character. Right?
No, yeah, we had 4 characters going to the moon. It was great.
Also, those Drain Spears did a lot of work for you. That was
yeah, I think I bought 26, something like that. It was great.
It was a large number.
I bought 26 and threw 18. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was definitely a delight. Any last words before we let you go, FF4FE?
Not really. GG's again to Dia. Great race. Looking forward to watching it back. And thanks to all of you on the Restream team for tonight. Gambit and Solaris, looking forward to watching back the commentary. Neobari for the fun seed, and of course Scythe Marshall on the tracking. Looking forward to watching it back, see all that you have to say, and enjoying the memes that are sure to be filling the chat. Till next time, though, have a fantastic rest of the night, and GG's again.
Yeah, GG's. Thanks again.
So in the meantime, Dia does have go mode, remembers after flying around for a second where she parked her whale, ends up taking the swag chocobo back to said whale because, well, whoops, we left it at Troya, and is going to be on her way to her Z fight. Would not be surprised to see basically the same type of strategy that FF4FE pulled, doing reflects with whites, some chip damage with that edge and that yang, and then trying to finish it off with the refill skip.
Yeah, I would not be surprised either. Dia really showed a mastery of this party composition during 3 Zone when really all you wanted were white mages and to reflect, just given the way D machines on the table flags was just the thing to do. So whereas FF4FE, I know, like, not surprised you got through that. Like Dia, I would be even, this might even be more comfortable for her essentially. But yeah, the time difference is going to be probably about 15 to 20 minutes here, which may look like a large rift, but again, the story of the seed I think really came down to that top of moon check from Dia, a point of divergence there, which was sort of forced because of that wipe that she took at Dwarf Castle to Luge, which was really like out of her control. It was just very unlucky. So that's the randomizer. That will happen. These are both 2 fantastic runners. She'll get to, do it again the next race. Hope to get a win and hope to get to game 3.
Yeah, speaking of that next race, their game 2 is scheduled for 2 days from today, this upcoming Thursday, same time, which is going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And for our other semifinal match, we actually had the first of those matches tomorrow night, same time, 8 p.m., right here on our Free Enterprise channel. We will have Dusty Griff taking on Peasants OMFG. That's right, the Thunder from Down Under taking on the current reigning champ. Looking forward to that match tomorrow night as well.
Yeah, we at the semifinals here just get treat after treat of matches from here on out. I'm definitely going to be in chat rooting on our runners really from here on out, as many as I can catch. And if you do want to catch that schedule, we have put in chat, there's a link to that schedule, or you can always type in !schedule in Free Enterprise Twitch chat to see it as well. Or you could go into our Discord and look for the schedule there as well. And let me take a moment to just shout out our Discord in general. This community has been by far one of my favorite experiences of just, well, really for me it's for the pandemic. A group of people to learn this game with and to kind of get along with, and everyone's just really great. Everyone's super helpful. If you're new to the game and you're just watching these races, everyone's so heckin' good at this point. And you're kind of curious about playing, but you're not really sure where to start. A Discord is a great place to start. Or, of course, just our website. FF4FE.com. You can make yourself a seed, you can make yourself a beginner seed, kind of try things out from there. But yeah, community is pretty great. Check it out.
Yeah, the community is very welcoming to new members. We have a huge newbies guide and a whole newbies channel. You can ask any question you need to about the randomizer or even some of the vanilla aspects of the game. We have people who will step in and answer it if they know the answer. If they don't know the answer, they'll possibly tag someone who does. And if you ever want to think about doing what we're doing, what Solaris and I are up here talking about this seed, talking about these wonderful runners, we are always welcoming to and looking for new members for our restream team. Those people who want to do commentary, we always need people who do tracking. To be honest, tracking is probably the hardest part of this job. Trying to keep track of two people's streams at the same time, especially if they have a lot of divergence. They didn't have that much tonight, but sometimes people go everywhere and you're having to watch two different checks at the same time. So trackers, restreamers, commentators, we're always looking for new people. So feel free to hop into Discord. There's a form in there you can sign up for the restream team, and if accepted, we'll definitely give you some guides and see about putting you on the team.
Absolutely. Going back to the community being just really freaking cool, everyone's super helpful. That's like doubly so for the restream team. We have so many volunteers and everyone is really so great, and we always have use for more people. You know, Gambit and I, both being restream leads, can tell you that we get pinched on trackers and restreamers still during major tournament seasons, so those people are always welcome. And commentary, of course, also. A lot of folks do really great commentary here, but if you've ever, you know, wanted to have a chance to do commentary yourself, you know, join the restream team. We'd probably start you on tracking, and then kind of go from there to commentary. Restreaming also, I will say, seems like a very difficult job, but if, and of course there are some ifs, if you have a decent computer and a decent internet connection, you don't need like top end, but if you have decent internet, decent computer, restreaming is all set up front and the most to learn up front, but then it just sort of runs itself. So having done it a while now, I find it the easiest job, honestly. I can just sit back and watch a race, turn on some heart music when it's necessary. You do have to put out fires, but it was the job I was most like scared of doing, but now that I've been doing it, it's definitely, I think, the easiest, kind of once you know it, and it's certainly my favorite, aside from commentating.
Yes, as our restream video bar puts out in chat, restreaming is great when it works and horrifying when it goes wrong, so do it right, you won't have to worry. 9 times out of 10, the whole thing about restreaming is putting out the fires as they happen. You're fine, don't worry about it, it's okay.
Yeah, and honestly, for the first few times, or even the 50th time you do restream, I mean, something will go wrong. Like, I mean, you might forget a timer, or sound might be on the wrong person, or whatever. It just, you learn really early on that mistakes just are going to happen, and that they're fine. It's annoying, but it's fine. So even fires, like, yeah, something awful could happen, like your OBS crashes or whatever, but, I mean, everybody's understanding, you know, you try to fix the problem as soon as you can. There's always somebody available to kind of help you figure out the problem. Even the fires, I think, are, I'll knock on wood here, but I think even the fires are not that bad.
With this Z fight for Dia going pretty smoothly, she actually forewent the hybrid strats. It's going straight up damage. Has Yang and Edge berserked, so keeping Rosa aside for healing. That's a little bit of a high roll, but Rosa survives plenty, gets the cure 4 off. Dia is just going to go for full on. Let's just power overwhelming this and be done with the seed.
And yes, to read out loud what Scala said, which is sort of the message I'm trying to say here, it is okay to make mistakes. That is life advice, by the way, first of all. That is life advice. It is okay to make mistakes. But also for restreaming, tracking, even commentary, it is okay to make mistakes, especially if you can see and acknowledge them, or if somebody points them out, that you can acknowledge them and, you know, just try to do better. But yeah, the important thing is to learn from your mistakes. And again, life advice there. Mistakes are okay, but learn from them.
Sometimes the mistakes aren't even your fault. Case in point, I had my internet die on me in the middle of a restream.
Yeah, I've had OBS freeze on me in a way that it didn't look like anything happened, but like it looks like the 2 players are frozen, and then I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but I know I had to restart it, and we had to like split the VOD for that, which was not ideal, but also, yeah, I mean, it wasn't. Most of the fires are not going to be your fault anyways. Like, things just happen.
Yep, I think that's the best message. Things happen. Just like things are happening on Dia's side, slowly but surely, whittling down 2,000 damage a pop against this Romus. We're in medio phase. We're about to be done. Get ready, your GGs ready for Dia. Going to finish this seed, unfortunately in second place, but is going to be able to finish. We'll see official time here shortly after the Z Sprite starts to crumble.
Yeah, with the longsword, and might have bought a full moon.
Yep, that looks like a full moon to me.
Yeah, this sort of makes sense. And there's the finish. GG's to Dia with a time of 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 47 seconds. And I believe we're joined by Dia now. GG's, Dia.
Thank you.
GG's.
Thank you.
So this seed, unfortunately, not going your way. What are your thoughts on the seed as a whole and kind of where you think things kind of got away from you?
Should have taken Paladin. I hate CPU. I think that about sums up the seed.
Yeah, that's certainly a fair assessment. FF4FE actually had a similar sentiment of thinking about that Palin. Of course, it makes sense to fade CPU because it's slow, but yeah. Tell us kind of what was on your mind, like once darkness was available to you, Dia. Kind of, what were your choices there? What were you thinking of doing?
Like at that point, I kind of was just like, well, I don't want to clear this Feymarch because Pale Dim isn't great with what I have. The counters are going to take forever. CPU just sucks in any spot. I hate that boss. So just like clear out the rest of it. I need to see these, like what characters I'm getting. I get the edge up there, like, okay, I can level this edge up, go back down, find a weapon form, because I already have a long blade, I just need one. So get the money from that. I find Full Moon, and I apparently just ignore the Drain Spears that were in that shop as well, unfortunately. But at that point, it's just kind of, okay, let's take the moon. Unfortunately, there's a Gauntlet, which also is awful, but just go through all of it and hope something's up here for me.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's essentially the same way your opponent played it, aside from you did the top of moon check first, and FF4FE went straight down and did face checking. You both saw what was in Cave Bahamut, but that was I think you both took on a gold dragon grind for money. Was there any consideration in your mind for how you might change your routing after that wipe at Dwarf Castle?
Not really. Like that fight was definitely doable. I knew that I could have put up a Starvey and saved it. I would have won that fight quicker if the Bonk staff hit Rosa and actually zerked her. So, like that fight wasn't really bad. I knew like it probably cost me a bit of time. I guess FF4FE you can't really be doing that. But I also know that things can go wrong very quickly in a seed like this. So, you can't really think about it too much.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. That is absolutely very fair. Things could go wrong at any point for any runner. Anyways, Gambit, did you have any other questions?
Just that this is only your third loss the entire tournament so far. Are you going to make any changes, or are you just going to keep playing your game and hopefully it works out for you on Thursday in the game 2?
I'm just going to play my game. It's worked for me so far. And that FF4FE is definitely a good runner and someone who is very, very hard to beat in a foot race, but I think if I just play my game, do what I'm good at, I can pull it off.
Yeah, you two certainly incredible runners, very good at playing your game, particularly. Sorry for how this one went, but there's a game 2 shortly on Thursday, I believe, right? And I'll definitely be very excited, looking forward to watching that one. But anyways, other than that, did you have any other final thoughts or anything you wanted to say, Dia, before we wrap up?
Just why would you do this to us, Neobori? Why would you put it in a package?
That is, yeah, that really is the question, isn't it?
I mean, with that start, you saw the D-Mist, you had the Magma Key. It looked like a very easy start. You kind of had to, do something.
We also had DKC, Odin, and Kinatsu. Pick 2 on the Giant.
Oh God. Oh
Yeah.
God. Yeah, Barry in chat here saying, pleading the 5th.
Thanks you both for the commentary. Thanks Neobori for the restream. And of course, thanks to the tracking as well. I believe that was Scythe Marshall.
Yep.
Oh, thank you, Dia, and GG's again. Well played. Looking forward to game 2.
Thank you.
That's going to wrap up our LHL broadcast for today, but we are not done with the LHL flags nor Free Enterprise. Isn't that right, Solaris?
Yeah, no, we're gonna head on over to Cappy. He's doing some LHL brackets ladder. So first of all, no spoilers of the race. Second of all, if you happen to know who his opponent is, do not tell him. That is a major no-no. And also, we put the ladder command in chat if you're interested in that ladder. And yes, doubly so for ladder. Do not spoil that. Very important. But otherwise, cheer Cappy on. Also, do not help. So this is a person in a race, so no helping, no backseating. But yeah, we're heading on over to Cappy, and Gambit, this was the open of the semifinals. So glad I got to do it with you.
Same here, Solaris. I'm glad I was able to partner with you at comms. Thank you so much, Neobari, for the restream, Scythe for the tracking. From everyone of us here at the Free Enterprise channel, thank you so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, same time, for Dusty Griff Peasants Game 1. We will see you then.
Yep. Have a good night, y'all.